Hello and welcome to Week 19's Foot Weekly podcast. Team of the Year is properly here and this is a content episode. Joining me, I have content expert Josh Excels, as you'd expect. Hello.
Yeah, it's blue season and it's Monday and I've not got any packs left and my count of Team of the Years is not the number I want it to be. So, we're staying positive, but it's been a tough old slog.
I'm assuming that means your count was 0 and you weren't hoping to pack 2.
That would be correct. Yes. Yeah.
Damn. And how many packs down?
I'm close to 900 packs.
Whew, gee, wow. Let's see whether our next guest can beat that. It is Nepenthez. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me on again. I said to Josh, just as Team of the Year started, that I hope he packs lots of Team of the Years and that I pack just one more than him. And so far, that's standing true.
Yeah. Who did you pack?
Lauren James.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, she's very common, it seems.
Not common enough, though, unfortunately.
Clearly not that common, perhaps. Mine was tradable. The most valuable tradable player I've ever packed. Oh, they're actually in the champs picks. Quite a result. What was your Lauren James from?
The season pass pick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know whether we mentioned that it's, worth, depending on what you want to do, you can save them by, not redeeming them. You just leave them there unclaimed. And actually, we'll talk about kind of strategy in terms of opening packs or grinding the menus, all that sort of stuff in a bit. But I wanted to start by quickly mentioning the patch. We talked about it on the supporter content pod last week because we recorded the episode later in the week. So it included that chat and we'll talk about it more on the gameplay podcast this week, but that's another supporter episode, so I thought it made sense to just chat briefly about that on this episode. So just sort of top level thoughts. Let's start with you, Nep. How are you finding it so far? I know it's only been out, a few days at this point.
Yeah, in terms of the patch, it's been a learning curve for me, for sure. I was just getting used to letting the AI defend for me in the old patch. I'm a terrible defender and I constantly manually defend and I'm always punished for it. And it seems like with EA's change here, manual defending has become far more apparent, and the better you are at that, the better you are in general. And I'm still not good at that either, but I was better at manual defending than letting the AI defend. And the amount of goals is difficult. It's been difficult to digest for me. I've explained to my viewers a few times. I get really frustrated when I can see the goal in this game, mostly because it just, it's probably my own fault and I just don't want to admit it. And so now that it's just goal heavy, you're going to concede loads of goals out of nowhere. And to change that mindset and flip that switch in your brain of, if I conceded a goal pre-patch, I might not get back into this game. But now if I concede a goal post-patch, that's okay. I'll probably concede 3 or 4 more this game and I'll probably score 5 or 6 more. It's different for sure. But I hated the speed boost and I hated the pace of the players in the first day or two. The rest of it I really liked. The rest of the patch I really liked. But as I've played on over this week, I really enjoy the pace of the game and what they've done.
Yeah, that's interesting because I know not everyone's found that. We'll talk about it more. But what have you made of it, Josh, so far?
I always think with the gameplay, it's kind of like a bed sheet that's too small, in that if you pull it up too high, it exposes your feet, and if you put it down too low, then your shoulders are cold. It's gone from where you didn't need really much skill to defend and attacking was very difficult. And now attacking is very easy and defending requires an incredible amount of skill. I think most people would prefer it that way round. I know that 𝘬𝗍𝗍𝗀 tweeted and said that some of the most popular titles are the ones with the most goals being scored. And good Lord, there's a lot of goals being scored right now. I can see for those people that maybe did lean a little more than they thought they did on the AI defending, I can see why that would be frustrating. I don't think this patch is perfect. I just think from where we were from the old gameplay, this is so much better. It's so much better. Is it a bit more silly at times? Absolutely. The goalkeepers need a bit of a buff, in my opinion. I don't think they're good enough in lots of scenarios. You know, we've had a big shooting buff. Obviously they fixed the near post stuff, but that means that they position themselves closer to the near post, which means they just keep palming things out into the middle of the box. And because the defensive AI is not very strong and the attacking AI is making runs all the time, it's the attackers getting on the end of those rebounds more often than not. So there's been a lot more rebound goals. So I think it's the biggest change we've ever had in a game, like in a single cycle. Sure, yeah. It definitely feels like 25.5. Like it's not a 0.1 iteration of the game. I think this is a much more sound base to tweak the game from, rather than what we had earlier. And I just think that it's a massive, massive adjustment period that some people are finding difficult. For some people, it's like manna from heaven because it's how they play the game. I enjoy the fact that fast players feel fast, even though sometimes it does. The speed boost and the bursting into gaps can feel a little bit like you make a single mistake and get punished for it. But I mean, I suppose that is representative of real football. It's just, elite players tend not to make many mistakes unless they play for Manchester United.
Very true. And I think just in summary, it sort of feels improved on what it was previously, but quite over-tuned versus, what I'd have probably wanted in terms of improvements. But, it certainly feels a change, and it certainly affects content as well. So I thought it was good to mention it because I think you're seeing different players be more effective. I know a lot of people are having to upgrade their defenders, things like that. There's definitely a shift in terms of the personnel that people want in their squads. So with that in mind, let's get into pound for pound powerhouse. A bit of a strange week because it is mostly quite high value players, but I'm wondering if maybe there is an extremely obvious option that we're going to have to rule out this week. And maybe actually we start by talking about that before we get into nominating players. The player I'm talking about is, of course, the Zidane that we got, which can also be evolved. Everyone got him completely free. I mean, Nep, it's quite controversial in a way. I know it's presumably just a ploy to get players back to play the game during Team of the Year, but I think giving a player that powerful relative to people's teams is an interesting choice.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely insane. We've seen over the years of Team of the Year that EA stopped making them as good. They stopped making them as high rated. They stopped making them those kind of like end game cards because once you had one, that was it. And for a lot of casual people on the game, logging in and seeing that free Zidane, even if you only get the 91 and you're not, you don't have the eligibility to EVO him, that 90 Zidane on the market would be, probably like at least 500,000, maybe upwards of 1 million coins. And for a casual player to have that, they will just have him now until probably the end of the game cycle. Or if EA give another good card somewhere else for a free card, maybe then he'll get replaced or dropped out. So it was really, really surprising. I thought it was going to be behind a paywall somehow, which it kind of is if you think about like next year now, how many people are going to be like, well, I don't want to miss out on that again. I'm going to get the pre-order version. I'm going to be that club member. Maybe it's more of a long-term ploy, but yeah, it's very surprising that they gave him for free.
Yeah, it really is. Josh, any thoughts on this? Probably a lot.
Lots of thoughts. Great. It's great. But I can't help that sneaking suspicion that 94 Zidane's going to be the best card I get out of Team of the Year. And that's... I love that we've been given it for free, but there is that sense of frustrating to feel like you might have peaked early. Now, I may be wrong there. And obviously, we've got a 500k evolution that gives 3 PlayStyle pluses. So there's an opportunity to make a card that can compete with it. It's just... I mean, who's running a team where that Zidane doesn't get in? I would love to see the number of people, unless you're going, well, no, I've got my theme and I'm sticking to it. Like, he's going to walk into pretty much any midfield in the game. You get icon chemistry. And like you say, when you evolve him up to that 94 rated card, I mean, it is a like 4-5 million coin card that we're just being given for free. And I great, but also...
Yeah, I mean, look, my personal take on this is a little bit different because I got Zidane in a pick just a week ago and was very excited for a 2 billion coin icon or whatever he was at the time. And now that excitement is completely gone because I played a better version of him in basically every champs game, and he's now worth, 900k, the regular icon, which, it's, I think, probably one of the craziest things they've done in a way, and shows how they really want to bring people back to the game. But I think it's very, very hardcore unfriendly, and also just, I think it's going to take a while for that position to be replaced by someone else, just because of the chemistry factor. I mean, yes, it's acrobatic, but his other playstyles are good, and I think it's a shame. And he'd obviously win pound for pound this week, so we'll proceed without Zidane included, and I'll come to you, Nep, for your pound for pound powerhouse for this week.
For me, it's actually a very simple one, because he's part of my RTG and part of the history and the culture of the greatest club in world football. But it's Patrick Vieira, and the reason why he is pound for pound isn't just because he is an insane card in game and gives you everything you want in that midfield for physicality and such, but compared to 𝘧𝘐𝑠's price and compared to the price of the Ronaldinho, I thought Vieira would be probably like 25 squads and 2.5 million coins, and he just wasn't. He was like 15 squads, 1.1, 1.2 million coins, and I couldn't believe it. I was just like, I'd saved for weeks my fodder levels to make sure I had more than enough for Vieira, and I've still got enough left to probably complete Bale when he comes out as well, so I couldn't believe how cheap he was.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking, he's a good player to complete, because I really like an icon who's maybe a more defensive player, because you can change up your attacking players, and he's there, sitting there giving you chemistry. But I think especially after the patch, now they've buffed passing without playstyles, essentially. I mean, passing is just buffed overall. The players that don't have passing playstyles, or a lot of passing playstyles, feel pretty good at passing, and have kind of caught up a bit. So the fact he only has pings pass, the base playstyle, I don't think is much of a concern at all. So and he's defensively really, really good. So I think it's a really good shout for pound despite his high price. Let's move on to you, Josh. Who are you going to go for?
Shaking my head at million coin SBCs and pound for pound. I'm going to go for something more my speed. Having not packed anything, I'm going to go for a team of the week player. Through an evolution, because it's the only way I'm going to make it relevant. And as we're recording this on Monday, it's Gift Monday. She is 5'6", and although I do think like tall players have got a buff in the patch, I still think the kind of nippy small players have just as much of a place in the game, especially now that you don't have quite the physicality in defense that you used to, because you were a bit further away from the player that's on the ball. And if you put her through prolific scorer, she goes from 3-3 to 5-star, 4-star, which fixes like a massive issue on her card. She's just a weird card in that she's got 78 defending as an attacker, as a striker, left wing and left mid. And she'd have plus in both advanced forward and winger positions. She has 85 base stand tackle and 74 interceptions, which I just think like in that front line, obviously tackle backs have sort of been fixed, but they've also been fixed for attackers as well. So if you can get a quick re-tackle in as an attacker, you also win the ball back quite quickly. She has quite low stamina, which isn't great, but if you give her a finisher, she ends up with 99 positioning, 99 finishing, 99 shot power. She has 99 agility, 97 balance, 95 dribbling, 96 acceleration, 95 speed, 93 strength. Her passing's like decent enough. She's got finesse shot plus, power shot, rapid and quick step. And I think that rapid and quick step combination is really overpowered right now. And, for the 15k that the inform will cost you in a free evolution, I think it's a pretty like fun, weird card. And if you get lucky enough to pack like a 𝘍𝘠 or somebody from the Liga F, it's a player that will, you can stick a striker up there to get a link. It's a bit of a rogue one, but I mean, if we're looking for real value for coins right now, I think 15k for what she looks like through the prolific scorer evolution is pretty solid.
Yeah, it's funny. One for the ultimate team nerds like us is that she somehow is controlled explosive despite having 93 strength.
Yeah.
Which is amazing because she got 98 agility. A really, really interesting player. The player I'm going to go for is, and just take this one with a pinch of salt. There are not a lot of options at the moment. And especially the situation keepers are currently in. But I want to go for that Casillas. If Japes was here today, he'd definitely be going for him. And I've got his loan, given him a go. And while goalkeepers are not so great, having far reach plus like he has for the long distance shots and having the saves with feet, both of those are actually quite nice at the moment. I think the saves with feet helps a bit because actually low ground shots are quite effective now with the change to the keeper where they're moving more to the near post. And he has all the regular goalkeeping playstyles, so he's still pretty quick off his line, but he has saves with feet as well, so that helps coming off his line. And his stats are just ridiculous. He's really well set up for a glove chemistry style as well, because he's got the really high reflexes and have just generally been impressed. I mean, it's obviously small sample size, 4 games, but he was good in all those games. And I'm probably not going to do him because I do have Schmeichel, and although the upgrade is sizable-ish, it's obviously a 300k SBC, and I'm debating, I know it sounds crazy to say I'm debating, but I'm debating doing Ronaldinho because although obviously most people would assume that I do him, there are a lot of kind of good options for fodder at the moment. And I think this SBC will keep the price of the tradable Ronaldinhos down a bit. And I, obviously with the Lauren James Team of the Year, I do have the coins to do that. So I may end up not doing the SBC and sort of buying a Ronaldinho in the future instead. But Casillas, I would say if you don't have an icon keeper, is a really, really good move. So he would be my choice. Any other players people want to give a shout out to? I mean, the likes of Kimmich and De Bruyne Nep might look good if it wasn't for a certain other midfielder we've had.
Yeah. Zidane being free and then De Bruyne being 2 million is is quite absurd. But that Kimmich card, I think he is like perfect for right back. Maybe lacks a little bit of like height generally, but when I reviewed his SBC, it's downvoted a lot on all of the websites that people can vote for it on because he's super expensive. But when you look at his in-game stats, his play styles, his roles, his positions, his skill moves and weak foot, he's just perfect. He's an incredible player, and there's a reason, in my opinion, why he's so expensive. And you don't, even if you have Zidane, you can put Kimmich at right back. And now I don't know if you've experienced it, but with the new patch and the new gameplay, like I was doing I had a tall left wing in a draft. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Rafael Leão, but pinging the ball to him from my right back and then him winning the ball because his physicality was better than the fullback he was up against, and then using like quick step and rapid to burst past the defenders. I just kept scoring goal after goal after goal with it. And with Kimmich having long ball pass plus and the buffed anticipate, he actually just looks like he'd last till team of the season.
I mean, Kimmich is the only SBC that I've done. Actually, that's not true. I did Casillas as well because you just kind of got to, but I've done Kimmich and he is like just amazing. I really enjoyed it. I think it was his road to the final card last year. That was a similar kind of style of card. There is another Bundesliga SBC that I think could have been pound for pound, but maybe I'll talk about that after the break.
Yeah, nicely teased, Josh. We'll come back to that in just a second. Hello, welcome back after the break. Now, is there one other Bundesliga SBC? I know there's 2 actually, but it wouldn't be Koeman, would it?
It's not Koeman, no. That's a horrifically overpriced card in which I enjoyed the attempt at realism, but unfortunately, aerial and power header are not the 2 play styles I'd really want on my Kingsley Koeman special card at left wing. It's Player of the Month, Florian Wirtz. I know he's only got 1 playstyle plus, and that's so December. But he's Shadow Striker plus, which I think is probably one of my favorite role pluses in the game, even post-patch. I think it's really good. Incisive Pass plus is maybe alongside Anticipate the biggest buff in the game. I know like passing in general has been improved, but through balls have been improved. And once you add Incisive Pass plus with it, it's genuinely like ridiculous the passes they'll pick out. And to the point where like, if people thought AI defending was bad, I'm not seeing the passes that my 𝘵𝗍++ players are picking out. And he has 94 vision, 94 short pass, and 90 long pass base on this Player of the Month card. He's got like incredible dribbling, like so well rounded. You can just go with the Hunter because he doesn't really need the boost elsewhere, but you could do, if you wanted to go engine and just like lean into his passing and dribbling. But yeah, I just think it's a really, really good card for so cheap. And considering we've had quite a few good free Bundesliga options, I'm thinking of like the Klosterman centre-back card from the season pass. I think he was a really good Player of the Month.
Yeah, it's the one saving grace of my prime Zidane is, I can play an incisive pass.
Yeah.
And I guess the other major SBC is Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, similar situation to Kimmich, although he's more attacking, in fact, competes more with Zidane, I'd argue, in terms of the profile that he is. So I think for 2 million coins, not many, unless, you're a KDB fan, City fan, maybe Chelsea past and present, you'd be doing that.
I mean, let's not get it twisted. That KDB is going to be unbelievable. Like, he is going to play unbelievably good in game. You have enough spots in midfield to play him as a central midfielder. He's got both box to box and playmaker ++, and has the defensive stats that you could play him in a more defensive role than, say, Zidane, or even play Zidane in the more defensive role. Comparison's the thief of joy, and it's definitely the thief of value from this KDB card, because is like, if you look at it, if you go, look at this card, how much do you think it'd be worth? You'd go, yeah, about 2 million coins. But because we've got one that's free that should be worth 4 million coins, you're like, well, I'm not doing that then. But he's just, his passing playstyles are ridiculous. He's got that finesse. He's got dead balls, so you can take those. His technical's really good. He's got 𝗪𝗏. Like, could he do with maybe another ball control playstyle? Potentially. But it really is an immense card. I just think when you know that you've got Bale coming, because, everyone's saying Bale's coming, you've got that Zidane already. You've got a cheaper midfielder or right back, if you want to play him at right back as an SBC that's there. I 2 million coins of fodder is still a lot of fodder, even in like the current game state where we're getting 83x10s and 84x5s every day. So yeah, I don't know.
And Pep fuming because he doesn't have tiki-taka, by the way.
Yes, yeah.
But, I don't think it's as necessary tiki-taka, with the fact that, passing has been buffed and he's got the ping to pass plus. Let's move on to the Team of the Year itself then. I guess maybe the interesting thing about Team of the Year is, as we spoke about before, they've got 3 playstyle pluses. But I think, as we perhaps expected, Nep, the third playstyle plus is not always that great, I guess, which keeps them a bit more, in line with the power curve. But they're still very, very strong and very expensive.
Yeah, they are very good. There's a few very interesting choices of playstyles specifically for Lauren James and Cole Palmer so far. Cole Palmer has got Dead Ball Plus, which isn't ideal, even for Mohamed Salah. Like Trickster Plus, like Trickster, and I don't even know if there's much of a difference between the plus and the regular, but all you need in this game is the regular to be able to do the fake shot that is like the super overpowered move. But what I noticed as well is, like, other than the in-game stats, which are very good, we have layers on layers of this game now with stats, with roles, with playstyles, playstyle pluses, etc. There is a distinct lack of playstyles in general, let alone quality playstyle pluses on some of the cards. And that is, in my opinion, obviously EA thinking about the long term. Like, if you look at Salah, he has chip shot, flare, first touch, and Trivela as other playstyles. And for me personally, chip shot and flare are just not playstyles I would ever be too hungry about. And even first touch on somebody that's got the dribbling stats that he's got isn't going to be like huge. And so they are primed for not being the top of the power curve as soon as EA choose that, 3 elite playstyle pluses are going to be coming in. And, like I say, like Salah's got four playstyles outside of the playstyle pluses. Imagine a player of similar ilk but has 3 elite playstyle pluses and maybe 6 or 7 playstyles on top of it that are a bit better as well. Someone like Salah is just going to drop off massively. And so it was interesting to see that they've kind of future-proofed these cards, but in a negative way. And when you look at the price points of some of them as well, that Lauren James, I don't know what she is now, but she wasn't extremely expensive before. Yeah, 2.3 million for her, 2.7 million for Cole Palmer. If you've been decent with your coins this year, you can easily afford to buy one or two of them.
Just kind of picking up on something we said in the supporter content pod last week about the fact that they are 3 playstyle pluses. Because at the time, I don't think we knew that the icons were only 2 playstyle pluses. And as much as I do think they have future-proofed it in terms of the selection of the playstyle pluses on these cards, I don't know that we'll see 3 playstyle plus cards potentially until Team of the Season, or maybe it'll be like 1 or 2 sprinkled in a promo as like the elite cards from that promo. Because if 3 playstyle pluses was going to be something they were leaning into, they'd have done it with the icons as well, and they haven't done. Yeah. So I think the choice allows them to still release 2 playstyle plus cards that can compete with Team of the Year cards, because they might have 2 very, very good playstyle pluses. So yeah, I kind of like that they've made Team of the Years special in that sense, that they have those 3 playstyle pluses, and obviously now we can all make one with a 500k Evo. But I do think the choices have been a bit weird. I'm kind of glad Mbappe got done a bit dirty with some of his, because he didn't deserve to be in Team of the Year. So
yeah, lower rating and Rapid Plus, Trivela Plus, not maybe the most desirable pluses. We should actually, as you mentioned it, then move on to that evolution, because I mean it's the most expensive evolution we've ever had. Is that right?
Yes, we have never had a 500k Evo yet.
Yeah, and interestingly, the FC point cost is 1,000 FC points. What's that, like £8, something like that? £8-10?
Yeah, cheap.
Which that is for many people extremely good value, and the players it creates, I mean, they are very good. They have 3 playstyle pluses, which, as we've just said, is a sort of restricted category of playstyle. And actually, I mean, I know Rapid Plus isn't our favorite, but I personally think First Touch Plus is a very good playstyle plus, and Finesse Plus is obviously one of the most desirable.
Yeah, I think it's an absolutely cracking Evo, and some of the chains that I've seen, like some viewers have sent me some players that they had already been like working on, and the level that they get to is actually just better than the Team of the Years, and the playstyles are there, and the skill moves and weak foot are obviously elite. And it's only 500,000 coins, or for example, the 1,000 FIFA points FC points as we have them this year. And one of the comments in my Road to Glory from yesterday that I read today whilst I was working on the video was about next year, or even for the remainder of this year, actually using FC points on Evos myself on the RTG, especially if I'm sticking with Arsenal theme, because the amount of coins I would have saved would have been so significant that I could have bought some incredible players at, for the sake of like £8. Like, how hard is it to generate 500,000 coins? It's not easy. And instead you can just go and work for an hour, earn 10 or 12 quid, and then you've got it instead. And EA are really smart with it, because I've got a lot of viewers that are turning now to FC points for Evos only. And I don't even think it's a bad thing. There seems to be this kind of like aura within the community that spending FIFA points is so bad. But it's spending FIFA points on things that don't represent value for money that is so bad. And in that whole EA kind of like really hungry for like just getting people in the store and just spending and addicting them to the spending. But when it comes to something like this that represents true value for your money, I would like not encourage people to spend on it, because you don't want to get caught in that cycle either. But this is absolutely one where it's like, go and spend your money. Go and spend your gift voucher on this, because you're getting your money's worth.
Because how much would you need to spend in FC points to generate 500k, Josh, do you think?
I mean, to generate 500k, like if you're doing it incredibly efficiently, then I think you could get about an average of 5k value from 7.5k packs. So you need 100 7.5k. So that's what's that? 15,000 FIFA points. FC points.
Wow.
So like maybe 160 quid, something like that. But in order to generate those coins, you'd have to spend the time opening those packs, dealing with the players, selling the things that are expensive. You would literally, like, in terms of the cost of your time, it would probably be like 2-3 hours worth of your time to do it. So like you can then add that cost on top as well. I like, it is incredible how many comments I've seen of going, don't spend the 500k, just like chuck £6 on, £7 on, and you could go and do this. Like, I mean, I don't hope that this is where the game goes like all the time, but I definitely think that there's something to be said for this. When people see value for money, they will spend money on it. And when the game has had a patch that if it suits you and you're enjoying it a lot more, yeah, you're going to be a lot more open to doing it. And I'm someone who's kind of staunchly not spent on the game for a long time now. And it's tempting me because, you know, what if I want those coins? Now, I tend to be in a really weird position of like, well, no, I've got to pack them. They've got to be in my club. But if I wanted to go and spend the like 3 million coins that I have, well, then maybe it is worth saving that 500k to, you know, make 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘦 an incredible right winger.
Yeah. And I mean, talking about Team of the Year EVOs, there is another one to talk about, which we spoke about briefly last week. And yeah, we will do again right after this break. Hello, listeners. A big announcement. There's a 36,000 𝘵𝘂 point giveaway going on the Patreon right now. So if you'd considered supporting before, but perhaps hadn't, it's a great time to join up because there are really good odds of winning that. It's just £3 a month to support, and you do get an extra podcast every single week, as I say. And at the gold or icon tiers, there's access to the Discord too, where there's loads of great resources and a fantastic community. So if you're interested in any of that, then you can just head over and search support for weekly, or follow the link in the description of this podcast. A huge thank you if you do consider doing so, because it really helps the podcast out and it keeps FUT Weekly, in fact, twice weekly for supporters. Right, let's jump back into this week's podcast. Hello and welcome back after the break. Right, let's talk about this Team of the Year centre-back EVO. The stages of this long-term evolution are coming out as we speak. So we don't have the full info, but we do have 2 of the EVOs released at this point. Plus we have some information or extra information from EA about what we're going to get from the upcoming evolutions. And I think we can still safely say, I'm pretty sure that you can start this once they're all out. So there isn't a huge rush. But interestingly, there are various players starting to go extinct because of this. I noticed 𝘗, who's probably the best option, at least the best option for full chem instantly, that there is out there, has gone extinct. So I guess people might want to be taking a look at options if they're going to buy one and putting them in their club ahead of time. But what have we learned, I guess, Josh, from the information that EA have put out on this?
What we've learned from the information that EA have put out is that there was a lot of confusion around. So we kind of knew that the PlayStyle Pluses you could get because of how they showed us. There was like a screenshot showing like your base card, and then here's the Team of the Year version, and it had Pinged Pass and Anticipate Plus. And I think because of the way that like attacking Avalanche worked, where if you had a PlayStyle Plus, you got Press Proven and didn't get Finesse Shot Plus. I think people presumed that if you already had a PlayStyle Plus on your centre back, you wouldn't be able to get Anticipate Plus, which is obviously the one that people want on their centre back. The piece of information that EA put out in their FAQ actually says that yes, you can get Anticipate Plus as the first PlayStyle Plus that you add and not have Ping Pass Plus. You just have to do the EVOs in the right order. So it seems like you'll be able, once the card is a Team of the Year evolution design, so once you've put them into the first one that we got from the daily login SBCs, you will then be able to kind of do them in any order you want. And so at that point, you'll be able to add the playstyle plus that you think suits the player. So if they've already got Anticipate Plus, it'll have to be Ping Pass. But if you pick a player that already has another defensive playstyle, you can now pair that up and get Anticipate plus whatever the other defensive playstyle is, which is where I think there's some people are kind of going slightly wrong with who they're picking. 𝘗𝘂, I think, is a really good option just because he already has Bruiser Plus, so he'll now have Bruiser and Anticipate, which is a really good collection. If they've got Intercept and Anticipate would be brilliant as well. All of these cards are going to look exactly the same with very, very few exceptions. I think that's something to kind of just say off the bat, because every stat is stat limited. Some of them are a little lower than others. So I think the dribbling one limits reactions at 82, is it? So, you may have an EVO'd player that has higher than 82 reactions, or just the base player has higher than 82 reactions that you're putting in. I think what we learned in general is that anything that isn't incredibly simple to understand is difficult to communicate to the FC25 player base in general. That was one of the main things we learned. And I think this is a really cool concept. I just don't know that EA have the right delivery method yet to communicate those concepts to the players playing the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just sort of think, could they not have found a way to have them all out and available kind of around the same time, and then at least people could then
or
work
at least
it
the
out?
first two.
Yeah.
If you then explain, okay, well, these are the first two, and now you'll be able to do the rest of them, but it's going to be this player. Because I think that was the main confusion was, can I do multiple players? Because it said, up to 6 paths in the chain. So, yeah, I mean, I think it will make like really, really good centre backs. Obviously, they're going to be stat limited in places, and
a bit limited in terms of playstyles as well, though, right? Like looking at this, because it's only giving Bruiser in terms of defensive playstyles, apart from the Anticipate Plus.
Yeah,
So
I mean, most centre backs will already have, like, if you're putting a centre back in, they probably already are going to have like a couple of playstyles in defensive roles, so like in defensive positions. So yeah, I mean, the fact it adds CDM as well and centre mid, I think.
Yeah, although again, it doesn't give great passing playstyles apart from Ping Plus. It gives incisive pass, which is nice, but at CM or DM, where this player is probably going to be useful, it's not so useful. So I don't know. I'm maybe still thinking it's more for a centre back unless they've got those playstyles already, right? And then
I mean, you do get Ping Pass Plus if you do lean into that as well. So Ping Pass Plus and incisive. Sure. It's not terrible for a holding plus. So.
But I think a 2 playstyle plus combo, which includes Anticipate Plus, is sort of too good to turn down. Another thing I wanted to mention, you'll have heard on last week's content pod that Richard Buckley was putting Maguire in, and we were saying his pace while getting up there still isn't actually hitting the cap. I noticed the physical evolution that's coming also gives acceleration and sprint speed, actually. So I guess you'll be able to get your pace not even higher, because there's probably going to be a cap again, but you'll be able to get it up to that limit potentially if they're a very slow player. So yeah, Nep, anything to add on this evolution?
The other thing that I really like about this, you guys were just talking there about, like, this isn't really good for CDM, it's not really good for centre mid, the roles aren't really good. This is another EVO, in my personal opinion, that is geared towards like casuals, because it's going to give them, I don't know what the final rating is going to be, 94, 95. You're going to have like this as a high rated card, the Zidane, you're going to have the Team of the Year, EVO, and then like Attack and Avalanche and stuff. Like, for people that just don't play this game very much, they're going to have insane teams, or at least like cores of insane teams, and they won't know the difference between having and not having really meta like facilities within each card.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Although then you kind of feel like, have they overcomplicated this then? But I guess maybe they haven't, because casual players will just see the first EVO, I like this centre back, put him in, keep going through the process, and they'll be happy with the end result perhaps anyway. So yeah, maybe it does kind of work, and it's the players in the middle that kind of are suffering maybe by the lack of clarity. Anything else, Josh, you want to add on the EVOs? I mean, there are 2 free EVOs, which, I mean, you mentioned Monday actually, didn't you? But I don't know, they're not exactly the most amazing, although I guess there's some combo potential with that Power Shot Plus one, if you'd prefer that to Finesse Plus, I guess, via the Blueprint EVO.
Yeah, there are some good evolutions there, and they give interesting boosts. There is we've actually not had it now, I think, for 2 in a row, maybe 3 in a row evolutions. The max positions needs to be absolutely yeeted, because so many evolutions give more positions to players. And I understand that there's an element of needing to maintain some control, but like Team of the Year Blueprint having a max 3 positions, well, what if I've put them into either of the Ronaldinho evolutions? Yeah, I've now spent money to stop myself from being able to put my card into a better evolution. Like, it just doesn't, I don't know. I don't like maxing the positions. I just think it's an unnecessary restriction. And then this is a really it's silly, but I just think some of the requirements in Creative Catalyst that we got last night are incredibly prohibitive for no real reason. Max 85 pace, max 85 shooting, max 80 physicality. If you've done any EVO chains with an attacking midfielder, the chances are you've gone above those stats. And with stat limits, with them giving us bigger upgrades on base evolutions, you're going to get above those stats anyway. Yeah, so it's just a little bit frustrating. But I recognize, as I've said in the past, not every Evo is for every player. Not every Evo is meant to be the end of a chain or the beginning of a chain. I think Playmaking Protector could have been a free evolution. I think Nep said a similar thing. I don't think that required a 40k cost, because it's good. I think the main thing that it gives, the Playmaking Protector one, is roles and play styles. And that would be the thing that I would really focus on, because that's an ender Evo. That's like this is how you're finishing your card off. And those, because it gives really, really good roles in terms of variability and how you can use them.
Yeah, really good defensive play styles, base play styles, which a lot of fullbacks don't have, plus really good role pluses, which a lot of fullbacks don't have. So yeah, I get the point about it maybe being better off free, but then if you're kind of taking a fullback to a level where there aren't actually that many fullbacks who are that kind of quality, maybe it is okay. But we haven't had Team of the Year defenders yet. We'll have those this evening, and those tend to not be, I don't know, they'll be quite expensive, but I guess they are the more affordable element of Team of the Year, which brings us nicely onto talking about Team of the Year prices. They look very expensive at the moment. Often they actually increase in price once the full team is in packs. Have you got any thoughts in terms of when might be a good time to buy, Josh? Obviously, the defenders coming in, it'll be interesting to see where they're priced to.
Well, I mean, it's worth pointing out some of them are unable to be bought at the moment because they've hit the limit of their price ranges. I mean, so I would look at each release and try and learn something from that release in terms of where the prices move. So, if you were to go to, say, Salah, he was incredibly expensive for a while and then dropped for a day or so and then rose back up to kind of where he stayed consistently at now. I also think you get a lot of people who will open packs for attackers, then hold, and then open on full release. And once they've finished opening on full release, that's when people go and buy their teams and start spending their coins. So I think the day after release of a card is not a terrible time to buy it. If you go for the evening after, I think if you look at the midfielders right now, they kind of dropped and have just started their rise back up. Rodri went as low as 5.3 and is back up to about 6 now. Potentially when full release comes out, it depends on the weight, we might see another drop. But I mean, if we go off last year, once full release hit, they just started climbing and climbing and climbing because people weren't packing them in the way that they thought they would be. So yeah, once you can afford one, as long as it's not only just been released, I think it's probably a good time to buy them. These are incredibly rare cards that will only get rarer as the game cycle continues. Their price is not going to do much other than go up. I can't see anything other than that. Mainly because of 3-player star pluses. They're going to be desirable until we start getting 3-player star pluses, and I just don't think we're going to get that for another 2-3 months in the game cycle.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then in terms of the kind of menu grind, it's not been, I mean, it could change obviously because it's Monday. They tend to release upgrades on Monday, right? But it hasn't been especially kind of compelling, but there's been that sort of continued repeatability of some of those fodder upgrades that we've had, which I guess have kept things going a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating grind, to be fair, because I don't know what your guys like tradable and like duplicate storage and stuff is like, but I have got an abundance of 82 and lower rated cards and 85 and higher rated cards, but absolutely no 83s and 84s. And so when building these like 83 by 10s and 84 by 5s, I'm having to put in like 1 or 2 85 and 86 rated cards to counter missing those. And just in general of that, like it's nice having them daily, it is, but not having the ability to absolutely no life this game and grind like we used to and be able to just keep going and going and going until you either gave up or had something, it feels empty. Like it actually, like the other day I was sat there, I was like, I had done everything for the day. And it's like the only thing I can now lean towards is League SBCs. And they're like spiked significantly in price because of everybody has that as the only option. So I didn't really want to burn my coins on it. And so I'm kind of sat here waiting for 6 p.m. to build a few more packs to open to hopefully get something and then carry on with myself. And in terms of engagement, I'm sure that looks good for EA on the whole, oh, look, everybody's showing back up again every day. But in terms of like that kind of like honest engagement where people just want to be on your game, surely it's bad for the game that people are like, let me pop on at 6, pop my packs real quick, didn't get anything, no worries, I'm off.
Yeah. Any pointers for Team of the Year menu grinding, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to get the league upgrades where you get like 3 rares and 5 non-rares from specific leagues. Obviously, Premier League and La Liga tend to, or the English leagues, I should say, and the Spanish leagues, because obviously it's now men and women, are usually the ones that people concentrate on the most because they've got the most Team of the Years in them. They usually just require rare golds, which is the thing that we've had in abundance. It's been the non-rares that people have struggled to generate, so that'll be fun. For me, I am doing the Premium League upgrade, mainly because 𝘵𝑚 and 𝘬𝘚 cards are expensive, but not so prohibitively that I don't think it's value for kind of the coin expenditure. And you can kind of buy enough of those 𝘵𝑚 and 𝘬𝘚 cards to do 3 or 4 run-throughs of it, and then the Prem Bundes and the Liga sections are all really easy to do with what you have in your club. Kind of looking forward, just to circle back to EVOs, the Team of the Year blueprint is only available for another 4 days and 5 hours, the 500k EVO. And I would suggest that we're probably going to get flash EVOs once that goes. So once Friday hits, I would expect we'll start seeing flash EVOs. I wonder if they'll still be the same as the chem style ones that we had. We had like the Hunter, Sentinel, and I can't remember what the other one was. I wonder if we'll get something similar to that. Maybe we'll now go into like engines and hawks and like we'll move into that kind of chem style. So worth keeping an eye out for that. Don't let that 500k Evo go if you've been waiting and you want to build a player up for it. The 12th man's coming. It's probably going to be Cristiano Ronaldo for the men, and potentially Bunny Shaw for the women. I think would be the 2 most obvious choices, but you never know. No 𝘵ci at all so far, and I mean, if we're going to go into leak chat, no talk about 𝘵ci. I would be surprised if we finished a Team of the Year promo and we didn't have any 𝘵ci content at all in the game. I hope we get some form of menu grind. This time last year we got exchanges. I don't think we're going to get exchanges, just the SBCs that got re-released last night in the hero pick and the icon pick. Worth noting that the mixed icon pick now has an 87 plus rating, but stayed the same price, which is pretty nice. But they cover 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89 rated players. And so I don't think we will get exchanges now, but I hope that there's something that allows you to generate a grind, as Net was talking about, in a kind of unlimited fashion, at least for full release. I'm probably not expecting much in this first week, but at least for full release. So yeah, I don't know. We're in a kind of weird spot where League SBCs is the only way to kind of generate packs if you don't have any. We've got a few objectives, but there's nothing that you can do that's repeatable. And yeah, I would say League SBCs are pretty good value, especially you'll have lots of untradeable cards in your club, and whilst you might be trying to save them for league upgrades, you will generate just as many cards like back into your club from doing league SBCs as you would do if you waited for those league upgrades. So yeah, they're not terrible, and it's a good way to get rid of 83 and lower rated cards, because that seems to be the cutoff. You can maybe keep some 83s for the bottom end of some of the 84 rated squads, which it seems that all of the upgrades are being priced at the moment. But definitely anything 82 and lower, just stick it in a league SBC, and then you can get rid of your bronze and silvers from those leagues as well, because they tend to sit around in your club, because you go, I shouldn't get rid of a silver 𝗏𝗏𝗏 player, but you should. You can do it in league SBCs. So yeah, that's how I've been kind of grinding.
Yeah, hopefully the grind starts to pay off. I feel like you're deserving of one, although mine was through champs and it was a record champs finish for me, so I guess that was somewhat deserved. Hopefully you'll be joining Nep and I on one team of the year, and we'll hopefully be moving on up to 2 or more. We'll have to see.
Oh, I can only hope so.
I would be all right if it was just me that got one and Josh didn't. That would make me okay as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he hasn't, because there's going to be a lot of people listening who haven't had a team of the year at all, so he can be, man of the people for this week.
The people's champ for team of the year. We like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nominating informed players for pound. That's this is what team of the year's reduced me to.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much, Nep, for coming on. It's been good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. Maybe one time I'll come on and I'll just have something positive to say about the game. I don't know. A little mixed. But yeah, no, it's been good. And thank you very much as well to Josh. It's been good to have you on this one.
Yeah, really good. And I hope if you are opening packs that your luck is better than mine.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. Thank you very much, of course, to all you listeners tuning in. If you would like to subscribe, then you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, and on YouTube. If you are catching this on YouTube, then do drop a like, leave a comment. It definitely helps the pod out, helps it reach new listeners. And if you would like an extra podcast every single week, then you can become a supporter. It's just £3 a month and you get an extra podcast every week. As I said, this week that'll be a gameplay episode. Thank you very much to all you supporters keeping the podcast going, including those icon patrons: Dave B, Hugh J, Jeff B, Darren W, Warren A, Stephen M, Waterman, Dan W, Roger D, Rob P, Lee A, Dom P, LM, Damon H, The Shirt Locker, Alex M, Tom B, Jake S, Neil P, Michael K, David G, Andrew R, Michael H, Jimmy K, Brendan T, Berta Saka, Michael B, Brian V, Josh R, Brent P, Rob W, and 𝗫𝗎𝘁. Plus a special thanks to Luke M, Dave B, Hugh J, Tom M, Darren W, and Pato Foot for advice and production assistance. Before I leave you, just one more thing to add though. Ultimate Team is a bit like life really. It has its many ups and downs. If you're having a few more downs than ups in real life in these more difficult times, then please don't feel that you're alone or need to struggle on without taking action. If you go to thecalmzone.net, there's loads of resources, advice, support, or even just a friendly chat for anyone who needs it. If it sounds like it could help you, then head over to thecalmzone.net. And for now, have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next podcast.